Hi, good night, everyone, and welcome to the conversation. I am your co-host, Alistair Sampson, and we have with us tonight, as always, Christopher Crossley, aka Mr. Crossley. So, how you going, man?
Yeah, man, good. Tonight I'm more like AKA Afro Samurai, but that's okay. You know, just this is life. With COVID restrictions. This is no barbershops and open and whatnot. So yeah, we have to kind of deal with the Afro for a while.
Yeah.
But you know, this is things that we have to do to keep everybody safe.
True.
So you know, we should have actually a whole lot of Afro retro looking men in place, apart from those who are bald headed or have their own machine. You know, we haven't fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, with the alarming numbers and stuff going on, because I noticed the COVID check that here. I mean, with the alarming numbers that happening right now, where are you right now in terms of mentally, what you're seeing right now, everything like that? Any anxiety, a sense of anxiety from other people, friends, family? How everything going so far with that, man?
Well, I mean, from externally, perhaps is looking like I haven't really sensed any major change or in behavior or if anybody's suddenly experiencing anything different because we're more or less just going through a lockdown that we would have experienced before last year during when it now really came upon us, right? For me, similarly, no set of anxiety, just more thoughts on things that I want to do and trying to implement while we're going through this, because the truth is COVID isn't going to go anywhere soon, right? So we are going to have to learn to deal with it while it's here, still make our plans, still implement things, and that is just been it for me, literally this, planning and structuring the things that I want to do and seeing how best I can implement it. I was on this where I've been thinking about some of the fears I may have had in the past, and I think that might even be a good topic for us to touch on, dealing with fears that we have, especially now during COVID. So we actually pencil that down as a topic to engage our viewers with. But yeah, I've been looking at it, and sometimes you realize some of the things that you put on board because of fear really didn't matter. You should have just done it anyway. And then, learn along the way. I know a lot of people are actually probably experiencing that right now, and thinking of things that they should have done, but at the end of the day, it still can be done because you're still here, you're still alive, you still have purpose.
Yeah, totally agree with that one for sure. I mean, as you rightfully say, mentally right now, there are big shifts that are happening. For persons, it's a reliving of the anxiety in terms of what has been happening before. But again, we have the choice of either folding because of it or trying to take some positive action. I mean, it may be easier to say than to do, but again, that's why we are here, to really help others with respect to what actions can be taken to help elevate yourself personally, to see how we could deal with these adversities that we are facing right now. I mean, last week, I'm glad that we chatting about the area of personal branding, because I know last week we started off the conversation with respect to that, the what and whys of personal branding. So for those who missed out the episode last week, go back, take a look at what it is that we have there. After you watch this one, go back and it's not a problem. You can take a look at that one as well. For those on YouTube, it's the same thing as well. Go ahead, like the video if you find it's very helpful. You like this one if you think it's really helpful as well too. So I mean, it really is a change in time, man, Chris.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like we said, we're just gonna have to live with it for now. If we look back at some of the past pandemics, I'm trying to remember if it was the Black Plague or the other one. I actually had an image of it. I'm trying to find it quickly here, where that pandemic was actually around for 7 years. Yeah, the Black Plague, right? That was actually around for 7 years, and the Spanish flu was actually for 2 years, so that's a lot shorter. But when you think that a pandemic can be around for 7 years, and we are praying and hoping this thing just evaporates and we can go back to some sense or begin to go back to some sense of normalcy anytime soon, that wouldn't happen. But I do like that there are some good things happening, technology in the country and, the drive for e-commerce and stuff like that has supported, right, tremendously because of COVID, a lot of digital transformation, a lot of people looking at online businesses and stuff to try to supplement that income for those who probably lost their day jobs and those that are, that are off, who are usually daily paid workers, who are not going to get a salary during this time of their home. So they're looking for that means by which to generate additional income. And because of COVID, a lot of things are being put in place. It's not perfect yet. We still have a lot of things to do, but we are getting there. And, like I said, so there has been some good in that regard,
Yeah, and as you rightfully say, I mean, these are troubling times, and we have a choice. We could either fall because of it, or work towards some good that can come out of it. Yeah, I don't honestly, for all our listeners here, I don't want it that at the end of the line with respect to this that you don't come out with anything accomplished or anything that you grew from with respect to from beginning to end during this particular time period. At some point, there has to be something that you need to start or put action within yourself that at the end of this you are much better off as an individual, as an employee, as an entrepreneur, as a student, whatever the case may be. This is an opportunity to grow from it. So I mean, as we dive in right into it, I mean, the area of creating your personal business, personal branding strategy. I think a lot of time people just figure it's all about, I don't know, people have this notion when they think personal branding, it's about just having a picture of yourself doing duck face and, having pretty colors around it and putting about 20 posts of these pictures all over the place and call it a strategy. But as you are the main man that's going to be talking about it, I think you'll be able to steer us in the right direction in terms of what really is the strategy. What is this strategy about, and why do we need to create this branding strategy in the first place?
Right? So I just want to say for those listening and watching tonight, this is the episode where you want to take notes, that's for sure. I mean, I could have actually broke it down into being a seminar.
But a book here.
Right? But it's not just about, building a personal brand strategy for business. What we'll cover tonight will actually entail things that you can apply to learn more about yourself. Alright? Because in order to create a personal branding strategy for business, in order for it to be successful, and to add value for whatever you're doing, you need to have a solid foundation, right? So just like a house, if the foundation has cracked, it will not be long before the house starts to crumble in some form, right? So while setting out and clearly finding your personal brand, it may feel like it's taking a lot of time to do, but it's something that you should actually invest the time to do. Because once everything is, properly laid out, is visible to you, it's strategized, it'll actually make things go smoother, and it'll make the rest of anything that you're planning go a lot easier. Alright? It's also for you to note that as you're doing this, it should become second nature with, because when you realize when you have to do all part, that is why, you're actually doing this planning beforehand. Alright, so we will actually get into detail on that a little more later. So everything I want to speak about tonight will be based off of a few questions that you need to ask yourself. Alright, so we'll jump right into it. The very first question would be, what is your purpose? Now, we know that is not, it might be a very abstract question, but it's something that, is confronting with, it's something that you need to do to help develop your personal brand strategy, because it does require some self-inspection, some deep reflection, some introspective thinking, and while it may feel intense, you will know for yourself and what you want and your dream life to look like, what you want your lifestyle to be, right? And you're the only person that can define that by looking at what is your purpose. Um, of course, you need to understand yourself. And when I say understand yourself, we're talking about the stuff that motivates you, the stuff that gets you going, the stuff that inspire you to actually want to be the best that you can be. And there are multiple things that you can consider, and of course, everybody will look at these things in different ways. You just need to decide which is the most important to you as you developing your personal brand. So, in asking yourself what is your purpose, right? Think about things like what are your past successes. Think about things like what are your strengths, what are your goals. Think about your experiences. Now, some of these things may overlap. All right. Think about your passion. Think about your personal traits. I'll even say ask a friend or family member, what are some traits that they would actually say about you when you ask them. Like if you ask a friend, I was supposed to ask a friend, hey, if somebody asks you to say, give three words that describe my character, what would it be? And you may be surprised at what some people might say. Think about what your values are. Very importantly, think about your values are,
Yes.
because your personal brand is going to be highlighting just that. Your belief system, right? And of course, your interests. So, it may seem like a lot, but we're trying to actually define or help you structure or look at the things that make you feel like this is your purpose.
Great,
All
great.
right.
True that. Hey,
Hey, Mike.
Mike,
Glad
Mike.
you could have joined us.
Yeah, good, good, good.
Hey guys, good night, good night,
Good
good
night,
night.
good night. Glad you're online, man. Because I know the road is be already. Everything alright?
Yeah man, good to be here man.
Great, great, great.
Awesome. All right. So we're discussing what is your purpose, and the words that I just shared, the questions, your past successes, etc. You know, you're thinking about what the words that you want to be associated with, right, or associated with your personal brand. Write down as many things as you can think of for each of the things I just mentioned. All right, past successes, strengths, goals, experiences, passion, personal traits, values, beliefs, and interests. All right, okay. Don't worry, the video will be here after, so you can always go back and, all right, there's no work at this point, right? So, after you thought of all these different ones, different ways that you want to associate with yourself, the questions, actually ask yourself those questions, go through and highlight, I think my that's right. Go through and highlight the ones that stand out to you the most. They should be the most important, of course, the most usable ones that you have that has the ability to inspire, or people should get inspired from your branding. All right, and don't be afraid to literally use your life experiences. Don't be afraid to use your strengths. Don't be afraid to use your ambitions. You're using things that make you you, and that is the main thing. You're using the things that make you you, and that is what people will connect with. That is what whoever you want to, you know, put your brand in front of. Once you can connect with them on those things, those interests on that emotional level, you'll find they'll pay more attention to your brand that way. All right.
Inspired from your branding. Alright.
So we're going into the second question would actually be, after you define your purpose, we want to look at who is your audience. All right. So that's the second one. Who is your audience? So now that you've figured out a little more about yourself after you've asked those questions, um, select a target audience. Define your target audience, and that basically means how are you going to tailor what it is you're doing to meet the people that you want to listen to you, right? And when I say create that person, literally create an avatar of that person. It's come like you're actually creating a fictional idea of who this real person would be.
So you're looking at the age, you're looking at their location, their gender, their lifestyle, education, if they have free income, because if it's for a business, you want to have somebody that's within a certain income bracket to be able to afford your services. Think about even if their family situation may come into play, right? And then once you have that avatar of what that person is, right, you want to actually think about them in a more, what is the word I'm looking for? In a more psychological way, right? So you're looking at what their needs are, right? So what their needs are, what they want, what challenges are they facing, what do they believe in? Does it match what you believe in, of course? And what are their attitudes and behaviors? Because it may be whatever you do may be something you're trying to correct. You may be seeing something in society that you won't actually speak on, and you will know you'll actually be reaching these people who have the very same issues.
All right. So,
I mean, even in our businesses, I know we would have probably done this exercise, all right, at some point. Whether it's, well, I know for sure, I actually used to make at least three avatars of the ideal client. I will look for who will be on the lower end, who will be middle, and who will be top tier. So I know that, all right, I need to have something where everybody can relate to. Even though I'm not selling for anybody outside of those three people, it's still a niche, it's still a target demographic. I don't know if you would actually have had to go through that, Mike, or add stuff for your stuff.
Actually,
Yeah, man, sure.
yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. I think like in the personal training industry, there's so many different niche markets you can get into that if you try to encompass everybody or try to please everybody, you can get lost in the generalization of fitness. So like I said, making those avatars, and sometimes it's not just one, but you have to make a couple different ones to fit basically what you content type of content you want to put out there, or what you yourself represent in the industry. So definitely that was a process. It should have happened earlier in my business, but sometimes when you now start, you just want to start,
Correct. Yeah.
and you also go through the process of being a bit fearful of losing people or missing clientele. So you try to get as many people as possible and train it as wide as possible. And then you could definitely just get lost and end up not catching anything at all, because you're not putting out any particular beat, or you're not putting out anything particular to catch any particular type of fish. You're just
Right.
throwing a line in the water and hoping that whatever bite. I remember some years ago, our family used to go down the islands, and we used to camp out, we used to stay over, whatever. And there was a year we went down, and we were just throwing line in the water. And about 3 times I caught one of those puffer fish.
Oh,
It's not what I wanted to catch at
yeah.
all. It was
Yeah.
actually what I did not want to catch. But then a guy from one of the boats was like, whatever you have on the hook, attracting that particular fish. Because the
Right.
others weren't biting, it's just that particular fish alone was biting. He said, so what you need to do is change your bait. And it took a while, but change the bait, and then everything else just had to go crazy. So, sometimes it's simply not having that avatar could keep your business from expanding or exploding, because we're not really targeting in on who we should be appealing to. So yeah.
Yeah, I think unfortunately what people do is they don't ask the probing questions. So I think sometimes how people do a business at time is, do you have a pulse? Then I am the person for you. Meaning that
yeah.
I am going to do every single thing, whatever you ask for, I am going to do. I'm a jack of all trades and do everything like that. But I think even if you look at, let's be practical about it. Even if you look at persons who are, this guy who does fix fridge plus fix car plus fix air condition, he does paint house and all this kind of thing like that. You realize that he will just do any and everything just to get the job. And yes, he might be cheap, but really and truly, if it is a one quality, even if he does a good job, you will still want to go for a person that specializes in fixing car, or who specializes in painting houses, or who specializes in this and that and the other. So sometimes being every man for everybody, you could be killing your business and could be killing your brand in the process as well.
Yeah, that's correct, and it's what is called brand fusion, brand confusion. When people don't exactly know what you do, one, so you're not the authority figure on that topic, so they'll go to somebody who is specific about that. And you're correct. A lot of people when they start business, I wonder how many people actually do market research before they start their businesses because they just one or two person probably ask them to do something and they say, well, okay, I think I need to do this, right? They never looked at the market. They never really looked at, what their strengths would be in the market, if that what their competition would be, if they're actually technically skilled in any way for what they want to do. Do they need to hire the right people? I think people just say, hey, I could sell this, I go in and do it, right? And then if we look at any of the millionaires and billionaires of the world, and I'm talking about the old money, I'm talking about these new cats who just on cryptocurrency and whatever. I'm talking about old money. If you look at what they are or what they've done, they were always good at one thing first. And they were really good at that.
Yeah.
People knew them for that, went to them for that. And it's only after their business was established, you created other subsidiaries and they branched out into other things and then became good in those areas specifically. So it still wasn't that the person would now come to them just for this and then for that. They actually had that dealt with separately and they were known for that there. So it's the same thing where building that avatar and niching very granularly down to who that person is and what they need and what you can do for them is the main thing. And that really does help, separate a lot of things and makes it easier for you as well. Because a question I ask people sometimes when I look at their costing of their services and stuff, I ask, well, who exactly do you want in the room? Are you trying to get people who could only afford your $100 product, or you're trying to find people who could only afford your $1,000 product? You know, exactly who are you pitching to by having certain things? Because you'll find that there are some people, they will see a low price on something and they say, you know what, I could always come back and do that. They actually don't invest their time into doing it because you're pitching that. Whereas those who know when, hey, I have to spend this, I'm going to actually invest the time now and be dedicated to to this here. So that is something a lot of people don't consider as well when they actually building their brand and building their brand for their business. They do consider, exactly who they want in the room. So it's very important that you actually do that avatar process. You know, all right, so we talked about what is your purpose. We talked about who is your audience, right? So we're going to touch on now. Third question actually be, what do you offer? All right. So based on your purpose, based on your audience, and what you can like, what can you do for them? Why is it better for them to come to you than anybody else in the industry or use your product over anybody else in the market? So some questions you could also ask, right? As you're building this structure, are you making their life easier? One, are you solving a problem that they have? All right. Um, that are you solving a problem that they don't even realize that they have? So you're actually being proactive, right? Are you making their life more interesting or entertaining in some way? Are you literally helping them or are you teaching them something, right? So your purpose, your audience, and your offer combined together, right, make up your personal branding, right? The way that you present and market yourself needs to now reflect all three of these elements in order to make a positive impression on your consumer or, I mean, whoever it is you're trying to be in front of, right? So once you've clearly defined all three of these, right, like I said at the beginning, it is literally worth writing down all of them somewhere. All right, literally do the deep dive, do the work. It does help, right? It will help make up the vision for your brand. You actually start to see it clearly because a lot of us once again, we have this big idea. We know what we want to do. We know what we want to develop ourselves, whether it's from personal development, developing our brand. But because we don't stop to write these things down, we actually don't have a literal black and white ink on paper, visible, view of our vision for ourselves and for our brand. We literally don't have it, right? And apart from having it written down so you can see it, you're now able to go back and check, right? Ever so often you can tell yourself every 1 month, every 3 months, every 6 months, every yearly that you can actually stop now and go back and check with your vision, check with your what is a mission statement you make for your strategy, your branding strategy, and see if you're still on track, right? If you've actually developed, if there is progress, right? Do you need to make changes, of course, and adjust the suit? And I mean, at the end of the day, just be honest with yourself. If it is you haven't done something, it doesn't mean that's bad, but at the same time, it does mean that you know where you need to pick up from. Because you want to ensure that you stay on the correct track at the end of the day, right? So have these things, have the questions, have your answers, all right? Break them down. As always, take the big goal, take the task that you need to do, take the answers, break them down into to doable things, break them down into stuff that you can actually digest. When I say digest, I don't mean eat paper, people, right? When I say digest, I mean literally view and internalize properly and consider what you need to do. And it's recommended, as always, that you put it somewhere that you can actually see it and refer to and get your own inspiration from yourself. Don't just put it on your phone on the notepad, it will get lost. Don't just write it in the journal that you don't ever go in unless you're looking to make your grocery list. Put it somewhere that you will actually see it so that you can literally get inspired by knowing, hey, this is the goals I have for myself. This is where I want my brand to be. Yes, I'm on course. No, I'm a little of course. Yes, I can correct myself and direct yourself accordingly. Very, very simple. Just those three questions. Those three questions. What is your purpose? Who is your audience? What do you offer? All right. I know we mentioned a lot of questions in between. Like I said, the video is here. I did say make sure tonight you're taking notes, people, because it's a lot to digest. All right. And once again, we can use our businesses as a very good example. Well, I can even use Mike's own, right? As a personal trainer. He knows what his services does. Now, it's not just about making the person's life easier, but it will definitely help them be healthier, right? Now, of course, as a personal trainer, it's not like that's the epiphany moment, right? Like, yeah, I'm a personal trainer. What else I'm going to be doing besides making your life healthier? But through that, I'm sure he's found people, and Mike will speak. I'm sure you found people that had problems that they didn't know they have.
Right?
So true.
So, if you want to expand on it, I say you'll get to talk about that because I'm sure.
You will.
Yeah. Mike, I think you're still on
You're muted.
Yeah,
You guys hear me now?
correct.
Yeah, I think it's really true that whatever business you're in, right? Using me as an example for sure. Whatever your business you're in, you're on a daily basis, you are developing your customer relationship, but also developing more connections to your brand. And when somebody comes to you for one particular thing, like for example, someone might come to me for weight loss, and then they discover that there are many other issues that are affecting them, whether it be um, posture issues, whether it be circulation issues, whatever else. The more value I can add to that customer, two things happen. And I think it's Zig Ziglar that has said this, that people I don't want to quote it wrong, but if people like you, they will listen to you. But if they trust you, they'll do business with you. Right? And adding more value is a way of building trust. You know, you can have a really nice personality, but if your personal brand doesn't speak to adding value to somebody, eventually they may listen to you or they may like you, but they may do business with somebody else. You know, so a big part of it is observing your customer and seeing how your personal brand or how your business could actually fit the needs that they have while still remaining true to its brand. So there are customers who will come and they'll have different issues, and we will create a program, create a plan that's geared towards reaching the end goal, but fixing all the in-betweens as we go along. You know, so it's a service that then progresses alongside the client. Right? A lot of trainers just go for you want to lose weight, we'll help to lose weight.
Yeah.
Everything else in between, go by somebody else.
Correct.
You know, so it's what that's part of my brand. That's part of what we do and what we give to our customers. So seeing that there was a gap in the market, and like I said, doing market research helps to figure these things out. Seeing what other people offer versus what you intend to offer, and whether or not it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, so that was definitely part of what we went through doing our market research, seeing where the gaps were, seeing where we can actually fit in, and does it coincide with our personal brand, my personal brand, and with the brand of our business? Because like we said last week, I believe it's not always the exact same thing as an individual and a business.
Correct.
But your personal brand adds a flair to your business brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some flavor.
As you say, people will actually like to do business with you. I mean, so you're going to do what your service says, you're going to do what you say you do, and then to some extent, you're going to actually over deliver now, which builds credibility. It builds that you actually know what you're about.
Yeah.
All right. It actually shows that you're authentic. All right. That you're not just full of fluff. You didn't just read a book yesterday and believe that you can do it today. You know, and we know there are a lot of people like that right now.
Yeah.
That are literally regurgitating stuff. And I mean, I hear it at times and I'm like, but I know where you got that, but you're acting like it's yours.
You know,
The overnight gurus.
I don't put nobody on blast.
Yeah.
You know, you do you. All right. You wouldn't, I mean, somebody like myself and other people who might be well read and actually, you know, in certain circles would know where you got certain things from, you know. But at the end of the day, as long as you're delivering on what you say you will do, and you're actually authentic and trustworthy, of course,
Yeah.
it adds that it adds credibility to your brand, and nothing can actually beat that when people actually trust you with you know whatever they come to you for, whether it's for their business, if you're a coach, consultant, whatever sort of agent, right? Once people trust you in that manner, nobody could come and say anything that will just pull them away. You will find you get that loyalty automatically.
Yeah.
And that is what you want.
I think when it comes to personal branding, a lot of times people try to be what the client wants more than being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And in doing that, they lose their personality that made their business model unique or made their brand unique.
Agreed.
So, you know, you try to fit in so much into the industry, into the market and you try to be so perfect. And I think that's the difference between being a leader or being in management,
mm-hmm.
right? In a normal company or in a business, in a job, sorry. Being in management means you have to display some level of perfection for people to follow you. You have to not make the mistakes and not have the flaws and whatever. That's the thought process. But sometimes as an individual and more so as a personal brand for your business, you have to sometimes in this day and age, social media, marketing, and everything else lends towards people knowing you as an individual, your personality, your quirks, your flaws, right? Where you went wrong, where you switched, where you made things better. You know, people want to see that, and that's what gets them that, like you said, that feeling of authenticity and knowing that you're being true and not just pretending for a photo, a video, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Correct.
A lot of people think that personal branding means that you have to be like spot on, perfect all the time. And I'll be very honest, a lot of times the story that a person tells about themselves for their brand, given all their mistakes, their flaws, where they went wrong, how they fixed it, the struggles they went through, is what gives that sense of passion to somebody else to be attached to their brand. You know what I mean? So for me, as a smaller guy, talking about being underweight, putting on mass, being athletic, doing certain things, overcoming certain injuries and certain stuff, helps other people to realize that there are limitations that a person might have, but it doesn't mean that we're walking around subjecting yourself to limitations.
Agreed.
You could move past that, you could build past that, you could do whatever you put your mind to do, you could do that. And I think based on the story that you give as an individual, given your mistakes and flaws, it gives that real feel to your brand, you know, and not just this synthetic type of fake, you know, that we see a lot today.
Because you see what happens is people don't separate personal branding that they're doing and they actually being the manager of of their business. So they try to be so strict and professional because yes, we know that you are the manager of this business, but we also know you're a human being, right? Yeah. And this is where you see a lot of celebrities, they do it. They actually have coaches for that as well, like literal people to help them, coach them through their branding and the things that they do. And I mean, I'll even use myself as an example because growing up, and I mean even up to recently, most people knew me as this very strict, don't make no joke. I mean, I still don't play games, right? No game playing here, right? But I realized how unapproachable I made people feel. I realized how, even to some extent, there were some people that legit were straight up afraid. And I was like, if you actually knew me, you'll realize that, yeah, Chris, one of the coolest people you'll know, right? But I realized that front, that was just hard. There was no separation between Bruce Wayne and Batman. It was just constantly Batman, right? So that was always
there. And I actually went
about purposely softening my image where I can get people to be more relatable, to get people to see the stuff that I'm interested in, to get to see the values and the morals behind the person, right? That is there. Yes, you might see Chris always into like in suits and stuff like that. You might see Chris talking about certain types of businesses, X, Y, and Z. However, Chris is still the dude that enjoys a good comedy. You know, Chris is still the guy that likes a type of car, you know, who believes in equality for certain things, you know. So when people see that, hey, I like this too, I'm interested in this too, and I agree with what he is about and what he shares, they will then look at the ethos of your business as well. Because if you represent something, that means you are going to be managing and guiding your business on that same line. Your philosophies will now influence the culture of your business. And a lot of people don't realize that there are people now that look into the managers and the owners of businesses and see what they believe in and what they're about. And trust me, if you're not about sustainability and you know, helping the planet, and if you're not into philanthropy, they literally would go somewhere else, right? Because people are interested in the person behind the scenes now. All right, they're not going to support a business that the owner is for child trafficking and you know what I mean. Come on.
It's true. And also, as you rightfully say, whether good or bad image, you have persons who will follow you. Eh? So you have, I mean, you've seen it for yourself, even on the social media. It's and what it is. If a person like, and this is a Trinidad term, if people like lacqueray, then that is the kind of followers that they will get, and that is the conversations that will be really spread about on the social media. That will be their circle. So therefore, this is the type of business that you'll be encouraging, and don't be afraid of don't be surprised in terms of the results that you get based on even the negative image that you put out that you put out there to your audience, because you will get the audience that you put out. All right. If it is that all you do is push out negative conversation, negative mindset, and this is who you are as a person, don't be surprised if that is exactly what you get back in return. All right. And your business will reflect that accordingly. Your career will also reflect that accordingly. If it is that the conversations that you have at work is comments and bacchanal or whatever the case may be, bet your bottom dollar these are the 5 friends that you have in the circle, and each one of them bad talking each other with respect to what's going on right here. And that's going to be the result of exactly that. So, I mean, whether your personal brand is positive or negative, is whatever you feel, that is what you're going to get back. Is that straightforward as
Correct. And just I want to acknowledge what Miss June Smith Simon, or one of our VIP listeners, right? Just as she said, word of mouth and recommendations are still relevant, and that is exactly what happens. What happens now, however, because of technology and everything being a little more instant, word of mouth is also more instant. Word of mouth is not just me meeting you a day and discussing it. Word of mouth is me actually picking up my phone now and sending you a text and say, "Hey, Dread, Alistair, nonsense," and the end. The end. The 3 words, Alistair, nonsense, and that would not spread. Yeah, from whatever it is you do.
Yeah.
So, so it is what you just said there. That you know, the fact that whatever you put out, you're going to attract people based on that. And you can't really avoid that, but that does literally contribute to what your personal brand says. And it's always better to do the right things first than have to do, PR work after to fix, damage control. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to have to hire Olivia. All right. You need to set things in place first, make your plan, strategize properly, and execute what you actually want to do.
Yeah.
And
it's that simple.
yeah,
it is literally that simple.
real and game recognized game,
Especially now.
There's a quote from Confucius that says, he that dresses the field, I think it's he that dresses the field usually succeeds, right?
Yeah.
Or will achieve. He that dresses the loser, he will achieve his goal, right? And when you think of it from your perspective of personal branding, if you don't build your brand in such a way for success, like we said, you do the research, you do the planning, you do the prep, you do all this behind the scenes stuff, you're basically preparing your brand to fail.
Exactly.
You understand? And you may not think this is the goal, but the preparation you put in place is towards failing. A lack of preparation is simply just setting yourself up to fail. And there's a guy I spoke to about 2 months ago, and we were talking about the whole impact of COVID on business and that kind of thing. And you're saying that your personal brand serves as a protection,
right,
for the business factors that they can't really control. So the things that happen in business that they can't control, your personal brand supposed to be the buffer for that. Meaning, let's look at now where you have COVID and lockdown.
Right.
There are a lot of people that are still seeing great business because they've built a personal brand and a relationship with their customers, where the customers now still trust them, even if they can't come to their store or even if they can't physically see them.
Correct.
Whereas some people are going crazy because nobody coming around, nobody calling their phone, nobody asking for anything, nobody wanting anything to do with them because they to the back of their mind, not even anywhere close to thinking about it.
Correct.
But I think that if we were to always focus on developing that sense of a personal brand that people can attach themselves to, then even when things go bad, even when the economy crash, even when COVID hits, even when lockdowns happen, people still think of you first because they have an attachment to you as a brand,
Correct. That's correct.
As soon as they hear that particular topic, they automatically think about you because they've attached themselves to what you represent,
I agree. I agree. But I think what a lot of people suffer from, and I guess going back to my notes here, that very first thing that the first question, knowing what is your purpose. I think so much people yet to ask themselves that, and I think a lot of people are actually asking themselves that now more than ever during this time because
Yeah.
life is happening really fast, and you're recognizing just how short it is. If you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying, it's happening so fast right now, you're seeing how short it is. So you're really
Crazy.
considering what is my purpose here in all of this? Am I here to influence some sort of change? What am I supposed to be reaching somebody? And you're looking at your life in general right now, and you're literally asking yourself, what have I done? What are my past successes? Just like what we said in the question in the beginning, what are my successes? What am I good at? What are my goals? Did I even look at writing down goals? Something I was discussing with a friend earlier, not because you have experienced things, it doesn't mean that you live or are living. Not because you've actually been, I've experienced many things, but when I think, and I mean, to some people, they'll say I probably did a lot too, but have you or are you actually living? We all
True.
experience things. And I think that is something we need to actually stop and truly contemplate at the end of the day, because good or bad experiences doesn't contribute or doesn't mean you're actually contributing to life right now. It doesn't mean that you're at your fullest potential yet. It doesn't mean that you're actually reaching people and causing some sort of change in their lives in any way. You're just literally existing. A lot of us think that, yeah, I travel, yeah, but okay, a lot of people travel. Next.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I went to Disney World. Okay, great. Next. Like, experiences doesn't mean that you're actually living. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that. And we need to think about that. So people right now, you're building a personal brand. That first question is one that will require some deep work. The other stuff, building the avatar, who is your audience and what you do for them and whatnot, to me, that is the easy part. That very first question of what is your purpose, and literally reflecting, is where we truly need to begin, everybody. It doesn't matter if you've done it before, it could be a good time to stop and review and see exactly where you are.
Yeah. I saw Miss June Simon said made a comment there. Some focus on money and not on service. There's a quote from Robert Kiyosaki. He said, if you're not a brand, you're a commodity.
Yeah.
And then the lowest cost producer will win every time.
Correct. Every time.
It isn't who can ever get the cheapest, whoever can ever, whatever. But the flip side to that is, if you build a brand, and like Chris said, if you go through the process of figuring out who you are and what value you add and these different things, and I'm not just talking about this from a business perspective, but even as an individual in the workforce.
Individual, correct.
The way you care about yourself, the way you structure yourself at work, even can build a personal brand where your value is more than your position.
Yes.
Right? I'll give an example. I'll use myself as an example
I
because I always laugh at I'll always laugh at this. When I went into to my job at a particular educational institution, right?
Yeah.
I went in as a CFO, right? Now let me explain. When I say CFO, it's not Chief Financial Officer, it's a Chief Filing Officer. Which is a title created because all I did was file papers.
I need some tongue effects for this show, boy. Filing officer.
Right? Chief Filing Officer. I was the guy.
Yeah.
Basically it was like an internship vibes. It wasn't meant to be long term. And all my only responsibility that I was given was to file. Right? Mainly because I wasn't qualified for much else. I was just out of secondary school, just finished A's. And they try to get experience. So that's my experience. But my thing was, I saw opportunity.
Right.
So I told myself, if I do more than they ask me to do now, maybe they'll pay me for more,
Yeah. Yeah.
going on. And I went from, when I left that job, I was in a senior position, right? And it was because during the period of time, not just education wise, but more so personal brand wise, the value I added and attached to my name was greater than what I was qualified to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So when people say, well, I give it to my career to do, well, all right, cool, good,
Yeah.
you got to go.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh gosh, but well, best I get so instead. It wasn't like that. It was that, okay, if my career do it, be good. If my career so to that person, they're good to go. And even customers would come and be like, if my career not there, then even go and ask the questions because they wouldn't get the answer that they're supposed to get. And
Correct.
it wasn't a matter of how long I was there, nothing like that. It was a matter of me taking a stand to say, I want to develop. At the time, I wasn't even saying a brand, but I want to develop well, a brand. But in my mind, I was just developing
Yeah. You
a
just do
style
what
for
you're supposed to
myself
do.
where
Correct. Yeah.
people would. I was needed.
Yeah.
Yes, and I was necessary. I wasn't just okay. I cheated for money and I could be replaced easily, but it would have been difficult to replace me.
Essential worker.
Yeah, I made
Yeah.
myself essential.
Correct.
You
Correct.
understand? So it made it easy for me to say, here's what I need to get a raise, or here what I need to change positions, or and even without me seeing it, it was recognized.
Correct.
And I think that a lot of people want to elevate, but they haven't built a personal brand that would demand that their business or their company or their employer elevate them.
Right.
They're
Correct.
still just a commodity like everybody else that can be traded off for somebody else or shifted around on a board, you know?
No,
So
if I tell you, I think there is a mental block when it comes to that because there's some people going to see that as a gift and a curse. Yes, you may be the person that people know can do this job or do this particular of provide a particular service, but then it's like, all right, they're not going to give anybody else a do. Always look from me. Some people may see that as a bad thing, right? Always like I'm always wanted, like, okay, if I don't come to work one day and they wouldn't give the other person that day, they'll wait till I come to work to then bring the issue when there's somebody else that was there that can do it. So you'll find a lot of people don't put themselves to the forefront, which could actually, give you a lot of growth, right? They hold back because they don't want to be the person that everybody comes to.
but Chris, if they listen to what you said before about structure and developing a plan, then even that you could. This might sound really bad,
Exactly.
but you have to learn how to use these things to your advantage.
Correct.
Build a strategy around, okay, everybody demanding my attention. Number one, I should be getting paid for the amount of attention they want from me. And you begin to market yourself in a way, I talk about job wise here too.
Mm,
You begin to market yourself in a way where people understand your value,
correct.
but not just you complaining about your value, because that is where it does go wrong. Instead of you manipulating the circumstance to benefit, people complain about the value being attached to them.
Correct.
So
Correct.
like I said, if they was to plan it properly,
Yeah, but I
they
at
could
the end of the
take
day,
full advantage.
correct. And I mean, why be afraid of growth in my book?
Yeah.
All right. Because I admit in my younger days, I would have find that all right, 'cause I introverted, so I really don't like too much people coming around. But the fact that Chris gets the work done was something. But and how I changed my mindset about that was when you come to me, I will now train you to be a little more efficient. So it becomes that you don't rely on me, but you are now more efficient. Therefore, you are now more productive on your own. So
Correct.
instead of going back where it's like I could just try to deflect and pass off work or, avoid, it was how can I, one, better myself because I had to become a trainer. And two, I saw where I could actually help people become better, which then makes my job easier because now I have less people calling my extension all day for help because they realize if this problem comes up, I remember Chris showed me that all I need to do was click here, and it's good. They at least think and try before, so if they don't get it then. But like we said, a lot of people don't plan. They don't look at ways that they can adjust and make the situation work for them, which in turn builds their brand. I always tell people I've gotten jobs and I've gotten deals and I've gotten opportunities, not because I have a bachelor's, master's, or PhD, but simply because of how I've dealt with people, merely because of how I have engaged and my character. That brand is just literally there. It's just known. So, all right, you're looking for this. You don't need to know, go nowhere. Call Chris. That's all.
And that comes right back, as you rightfully say, to that first part. What is your purpose? And really playing and doubling down into your purpose itself, and not only you understanding the value behind it, but to be able to share that value in the right way as well. Don't just say this is your purpose and then realize that your actions don't really reflect what you say is your purpose in the first place. And I think that, as you rightfully say, could be a challenge for persons, whether they're building their brand on a job, whether they're building their brand on their business. If it is that they don't look at the points that you laid out here and really take that time, you're going to find yourself next year around this time being in the exact position that you're in and complaining about the fact that nobody want to give them anything, nobody looking at how long. Because honestly, time, if it is that you don't bring value to that you're doing and you tell yourself, well, okay, I have this $100 in my hand. Next 5 years, that same $100 is not going to buy the same thing that you had 5 years ago. The value of it is going to change. So whatever you spend your time in terms of doing, or you just staying exactly the same way, is not going to hold that value later down the line. So it's very important that you grow, you build your brand, you improve on your brand, and people understand, and you understand the value of your brand as well.
Correct. So, I mean, as always, the conversation does be a mouthful. All right. A lot of points tonight. The video will be up. Make sure you go back through and look at the points and the questions that we posed tonight. Something just for you to start off. And I will tell anybody, find a very good friend, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a parent, you have a BFF, all right? Ask them, tell them, give you 3 words. If there's to describe you to anyone, 3 words that they would use to describe your character. And start from there. So at least you would know what work you have to do. Simple as that. All right. I saw Mike dropped off there. I don't know if he lost internet. All right. Yeah. All right. So, I mean,
as always, it was
a great conversation tonight.
For sure.
You know, what we've shared has been some value to you. As always, share, let people know every Tuesday night. Mantle is on with the conversation. We'll be continuing the topic on personal branding next week. And as always, make sure if you can't get it here, for those who are not on Facebook, they can access our YouTube channel as well. They'll be getting all our episodes there.
All right.
All right. So great.
Anything in closing, brother?
No, I think we've said it there. So guys, thank you all very much for connecting, and see you on the next conversation.
All right. Good night.
Take care.